On March 4, the Public Health Commission agreed to make the conditions for family members to visit their loved ones in residences more flexible, as well as to leave these people. They had been locked up in these institutions for a year, had seen their neighbors, friends and even their own caregivers die, and only at the end of December did they begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Vaccines against COVID-19 had arrived. 3 days before the end of the year, the images of Araceli Hidalgo receiving her first dose reached the last corner of the country. At 96 years old, this woman from Granada, resident of the Los Olmos Center in Guadalajara, affirmed before the cameras that she had been looking forward to this moment and, although the puncture stung a little bit, she could not hide her joy at what seemed like the beginning of the end of the pandemic, for her and for so many people. There were 3 more waves of SARS-CoV-2 to come. The first, immediately after Christmas, when the vaccination rate was infuriatingly slow. Even so, in 2 months the vast majority of people were reached in residences, which allowed a 4th wave, just after Easter, comparatively much softer, especially in relation to the number of hospitalizations. But the coronavirus does not give up, and nobody could imagine that the numbers of infections were going to grow as they have done in recent weeks, driven by the increase in incidence among young people, which has been dragging the other age groups. Spain is not the only country that is experiencing an increase in its positives. The summer has caught those states that pushed forward their vaccination campaigns as far as possible to begin lifting restrictions. Hastily. Yes, Israel has already announced that it will offer a 3rd dose of the COVID-19 vaccine for those vulnerable. Adults with weak immune systems, foreseeing that their antibody levels have declined after half a year since they received the expected dose. The basis for this decision is not entirely clear. So far, the cases of reinfections have been minimal and mild. Real-life data claim that vaccines so far provide strong immunity even against newer variants such as Delta. Of course, as long as you have both doses on. However, the directors of Pfizer and Moderna, the first 2 vaccines to be approved in Europe, have been saying for some time that it will be necessary a 3rd dose between 6 months and 1 year after the first vaccination because humoral immunity, that of antibodies, is declining. The first of these companies has already announced its intention to present the authorization of this souvenir dose to the US authorities and points out that they are already in talks with the European ones to do the same. For now, the European Medicines Agency has stated that it is still too early to confirm whether or not that 3rd dose is needed. However, time is short and the increase in infections among young people puts the rest of the population at greater risk. Including those people who, like Araceli, were vaccinated earlier this year and have already crossed that 6-month barrier after which, according to the pharmaceutical companies, immunity would decrease.